feel like Cheetah, while great, nobody wants to take her away from Diana. So I was like,
No,
let
that
me get
is
the
hard.
next. I was like, let me get the next best thing. Go up against
But
them.
they should take it from Diana because like girl, that matchup don't make no sense.
Well, isn't it supposed to be like Cheetah has like strength? She gets very strong.
Strong enough to fight Diana. Like, come on.
I mean, she hasn't killed her yet.
See, and she said she kills her villains.
Allegedly, we saw that movie. Um,
Unfortunately,
did
unfortunately, we saw
did
that
you hear
movie.
they're about to start with? All right. Hello and welcome back to another relaunch. We're your hosts. I am Dr. Light, Kimio. Not the meme,
Oh,
not the guy. He's not good.
well, yeah. He's not a good character.
He's not
Yeah, we like
good.
that. And I will be Carol Ferris, Star Sapphire. You know,
Oh, yes,
like,
tits out.
you know,
that
for the
definitely
girls.
seems that definitely seems like your type of character now that I think about her. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Do you like her? Because I know you don't
You
really gel
know,
with Hal.
I do not. I do not. I don't really see her for help. And I actually do like her. I don't like her when they try to make her into this like weird, crazy villain for him. I like her when she's like more of her own character and she's just like a part of the Starfire Corps, and doing that whole thing. But when they try to make her into this like crazy character, she's in the Injustice League and stuff. I ain't
Yeah,
really
I
with it.
think a lot of the times that I've seen her, especially in animation, now that I think about it, she's always seems to be like the scorned ex, who's like, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
make it. But it's like, girl, get a life.
And they tend to do that a lot, I feel like, with a lot of the Star Sci-Fi characters. Like, they're always like the scorned exes of a Green Lantern or something, and they just come around to make things miserable. It's like, don't do the girls like that.
Dripping
Let
in
them girls move
misogyny.
on.
That's how you know. That's how you know they're created by men, okay?
They don't got no clothes on, and they're bitter exes.
Just like nasty, just nasty. Oh my gosh. But other than that, how are you doing this week, my dear?
I'm good. For those of people who are watching it, you see I'm on location right now.
Yes.
Decided at the last minute to go to Palm Springs with a friend because why have a hot girl summer when you can have a hot girl year? you know,
Okay.
the party
Okay.
don't.
That's a word.
So, I'm out here living. How are you doing this week?
I'm doing all right. It finally got cold in DC, which is like great because now I don't have a reason to go outside. I have like a legitimate excuse. It's too cold. But other than that, it's been cool. A lot of things happened this week. I had some good comics. Eternals came out, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. Um, so let's go ahead and get started and get right into it. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I had a bit of a light pull this week. For me, is like
Me
I still had
too.
5 books, but I didn't read all of them because I had other things going on. Unfortunately, I've actually been playing a lot of my Guardians of the Galaxy game, which has been taking a lot of my time, and I have the
That I've
it's
seen all the reviews that say that it's great. What do
it's
you think?
very high. It is very high. Like this is what Avengers should have been. Like the ability to like kind of still control one person, like play as one person, but control the rest of your team. The movements that they do, the storyline is actually really good. You can tell they mixed a little bit of the comics version with some of the MCU and kind of made it its own story, which is cool. I think when it leans a little too heavily into the MCU versions, obviously I kind of get annoyed because I don't really mess with the MCU Guardians like that. But
Yeah.
it's still original enough that you're into the story. It's really interesting. There's been so many guest characters and cameos of former Guardians from the comics. Spoiler alert for anyone who hasn't played, of course, but there's been a Jack Flag sighting. There's like dossiers on Moondragon, Quasar, Wendell Vaughn. We
My
saw a
girl.
little.
Oh,
Yeah, he
now
popped
hold
up.
on. Moondragon and
Mantis.
Quasar.
Yeah, Mantis has popped up in the game. She actually kind of like joins the team as an NPC for a little bit, as does Adam Warlock, which was very exciting to me. And you're just like the world of school. You're seeing so much of the space stuff, the Akanti, the Nova Corps. It's hot.
Exactly, a concept.
Yeah, they're in there. Like some of the jokes are actually funny, at times, and like the way the team.
MCU shape.
And it's just yeah, it's just a really fun game. Like I highly recommend it to anybody who gets it. I know a lot of people. At first I was saying joking, oh, why people think a game centered around Star-Lord would be bad, but I completely understand from Avengers, a game that I also bought, why one would be apprehensive about more Marvel games, but this one's up there, and it gives me hope for the future of Marvel gaming, because as we know, they've just like announced they're going to have about 5 more or something coming.
Yeah, and supposedly the rumor that I'm seeing right now is that the first one, I forget the company that was going to be responsible behind it, it's either going to be a Fantastic Four game or an Ant-Man game, which I think
Ooh,
either of those would be
I
very
would do
fresh and
Ant-Man.
different. And obviously, we know I'm going to pick Fantastic Four.
Not even just because of that. I just I think about like Ant-Man's powers and how they would make that game look. That's gonna be like very exciting.
I, I, I was actually gonna think the same thing because, like, while I would want the Fantastic Four game, I would definitely buy the Ant Man one too because I don't think they've ever really done the whole like shrinking, growing kind of thing in a game. That would
Like
be really cool.
if they give him something where he can get on top of ants and fly around,
Hmm.
it'll be fun. Come on, Ant-Man, I'm here for it. Watch it don't even happen.
Yeah.
um, but with that, let's go ahead and get to these comics of the week again. Not like a super huge pull this week, but we'll start out with one that I was super excited for, and that is the Batman Superman special featuring the Authority. That comes from Philip Kennedy Johnson, and it had a slew of artists on there. Hold on, it was Trevor Hairsine, Jonathan Glapion, Scott Hanna, and Rain Beredo. Now,
Yeah.
you have been fully caught up on Action Comics and everything that's going on in there, right?
Oh, I'm fully invested. I'm
Cool.
in. I'm in now. What we need to be trying to figure out is how to get Philip Kennedy Johnson over into the Marvel books because he's great.
He is good. He's a good one. Like DC's got like a I feel like I've said that a lot now, but like DC's got a high roster of talent on the line, so it's like good for them. It took us a while to get here, but here in this book, it's just here in this book, Batman comes to Superman. He has this mission that he needs a team on that he's not taking the Justice League about, and as the Authority team that Superman has now assembled is getting ready to go to War World, he feels like, oh, this could be like a nice little practice mission for them. Basically, there is this Dark Bruce in the Dark Multiverse who has this like group. They are called the something of shadows.
The Empire, the Empire of
The Empire.
Shadows.
I was about to say the Empire of Shadows, but I was like, I don't know why that didn't sound right. But I'm still thinking of the League of Shadows. But they even say like, no, this
Yeah.
ain't the League of Shadows. It's the Empire of Shadows. And they are trying to cross over to like just take over Earth Prime and like destroy everybody and do everything. And so Batman's like, we need to go there first to stop them. And once we get there, they go via Enchantress. Again, this is like a good practice mission for the team. So we get to see a little bit more of them, how they work together, how they gel, and having them form Batman and Superman interact throughout because Batman's like, look, these people ain't ready. I don't know if you can trust them. This is kind of crazy. Superman's like, you came to me and we're going to get it done. And that's what it is. Like, this is the team I got. This is who you're going to get. But just, I think it was like a very nice, fun, one and done issue, showcasing the team, giving us a little bit more into them, and kind of showing us we've only really seen this team under Grant Morrison in the Superman and the Authority miniseries, and this is the first time we're getting like a real taste of them from Phil Kennedy Johnson, and he knocks it out of the park in my opinion.
Truly, I would love if he could like continue on with this Authority team. If he was going to continue on with, I don't know if he's continuing on Action Cuts or whatever, but if there was like this tandem book, that would be fantastic because I actually really like this team. In the beginning, characters that I always end up liking are characters that I relate with, like on a personality and stuff. And Apollo in the beginning when Light Ray had her feet up on that table and he was like,
Like, girl.
do you like a coaster or something? I really appreciate that. Honestly, Midnighter and Apollo throughout this entire thing was really fantastic. And it really reminded me how much I miss an ongoing with them. They're one of my favorite comic book couples because they just feel so like real. And there's never a question of whether or not they're going to be together if they are like a unit. They just do their own thing. And I like the way that Midnighter kind of teases Apollo because he knows Apollo probably thinks like some of these men around him are attractive, and and Apollo's like, I mean,
And I love how Apollo was like teasing Midnighter because Midnighter is very obviously jealous of Batman. And it's like he is bothered, and he's like, who is this man that thinks he is like this great guy and that everybody is fawning over? He's like, why does this universe have like a whole cult worshiping him? Like, I don't understand. He's like, here I am in my black outfit, in my black latex, and like doing what needs to be done, and nobody's doing this for me. So like that was super cute. I really love the way that they did that relationship because I think this was, I can't think of the last time I've seen Bruce and Midnighter interact.
So they said this in the comic, and I think this is their first time.
First
They
time
like
ever
mentioned
meeting,
it
right?
that, oh, it's the first time ever meeting each other. Yeah.
And I was like, that's so cool because again, everybody knows they be like drawing parallels for those two. Really great character interactions throughout. I love when the team actually, after like towards the end when they won, how Bruce comes to Clark and he's like, you know, you asked the League and me to go to War World, and we said no. He's like, I asked you to go to a whole nother multiverse that has nothing to do with us, and you like came with no hesitation. And it's just like, I love that about them, and I love that there's still the respect. And Clark even says, he's like, no, you guys were right to say no. This isn't something that you all should be doing. He's like, but you know, I'm always gonna be here for you. I think I'm starting to like that friendship a little bit more these days.
Superman and Batman are hot. They're friends. The respect like, there is just so like you feel it.
And it's like, I guess I've always been a little apprehensive to Clark because A, I never really read Superman books. I don't enjoy them. But then B, him and Arthur don't really get along. And so, you know, obviously.
You gotta ride for your faith.
So, but Bruce and Clark, they're cool. So I'm here for that. The art was very interesting. It switched when they would go to like different parts from the real world to the dark multiverse to like the other rooms when they got kidnapped.
They got another artist for the dark dimension. I thought that was really cool, and that they kind of even accept like, oh, we look different, which I thought was a real kind of commentary, like the artist switching and Superman saying like, you know, the laws of physics here are different, like so we're gonna feel different and look different. So I thought that was really cool.
I was like, this is one thing DC does well. It's their little multiverse, but really solid issue.
They do.
I think anybody who's interested in these people, these characters, definitely pick this up. What would you rate it?
Honestly, I would give this a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed this. I enjoy this team. I enjoy the book and the story. The entire it being like a one and done thing in the dark dimension, just to get more of a feel for the team. It's perfect kind of setup for like a little one shot. I don't know if this dark dimension place is like something that happened in Dark Knight Metal or something, or if this was like something that happened before because I wasn't keeping up with that.
Oh, maybe that's where this is from.
Yeah, they talked about that this was like something that happened before. And like the League of Shadows basically won. So like they became the Empire of Shadows and took over. And like basically the 3 general kids are like Batman's kids with Talia.
That was hot.
So it was interesting to see kind of them. It was kind of hot, yeah. I was gonna lie with this 3 like little general kids. When they came in and presented like what they found with like the old Green Lantern ring and the helmet of fate, I thought that was pretty so yeah, I liked it. It was hot. 4 out of 5.
Okay, I would agree with that. Very solid issue. Highly recommend it. I didn't even like think about the Dark Knight Metal connection. I just was going with it. I was like, oh, we know the multiverse exists in the DC universe now, so whatever. We can just go places. We'll just have to accept it.
It's just a thing, whatever.
Yeah, I was like, this is a thing. But that's actually a really good callback. Maybe I'll go back and read Dark Knight's Metal because I also did not keep up with that.
I know, like Wonder Woman had like Lasso was like a starter for her buzzsaw sword or something.
Like in like a heavy metal. Did you ever play that game? What was it? Twisted Metal Gear, where they were like the cars.
Twisted Metal.
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Yes. That I saw like That's what it reminded me of when I would see a lot of the promo shots. Like, because that's the cars
Mm.
and stuff they were driving. And I was like, that was fun to play, but I don't think I want to read it.
Mm-mm.
We'll see.
I'm not really always into like multiverse stuff anyway, but who knows? I guess
If
supposedly it had like real ramifications. So
in the DCU, well, if you read DC Metal, Dark Knight's Metal, please let us know what you thought and if it's worth going back to
please.
read. Okay. Next up on the list is Mr. Miracle, The Source of Freedom #6, and this is actually the final issue of this little mini series here. It's from Brandon
Okay.
Easton and Fico Ossio, and it was fun. It was cute. I think everybody knows like I'm kind of a Mr. Miracle fan. I love the New Gods. I love the Fourth World, all that Kirby stuff. So I've been into Shiloh since he was introduced, however many decades ago. And when I was like reading about Miracle and Barda, and he was introduced with them, and I think this was a perfect miniseries to kind of like reintegrate him into the DCU continuity now. We have he's been popping up in those future state backups, and like we weren't really sure what was going on, but again there's a lot of, which really makes me think he is going to be a part of the Authority at some point. I'm like really trying to put that energy out into the universe because
Mm.
it's just a lot of stuff with the space-time continuum. Again, even in this miniseries, he was dealing with the child of Barda and Scott, who had somehow gotten erased because like she was in the space-time continuum messing stuff up. But he also meets Oberon, who was one of the
Oh.
caretakers, yeah, from the Fourth World, and we find out about his connection to the original Mr. Miracle. We see his parents again, and it was just a really nice way to kind of connect all those dots and implement him and plant him in a bunch of different. You know how you always say characters need universes? They planted him in a bunch of
Mm-hmm.
different universes. So it's like he can kind of do the street thing if he wants to because of his job. He can enter the Fourth World New God stuff because of the mother boxes and how he's connected to them. You can now integrate him in with the Authority because of the stuff he did with Midnighter and Superman and Future State and dealing with the space-time continuum. So it was just really nice to do that. And I think if anyone's interested in this character or interested in any of those aspects, they should definitely pick it up. I will
Okay.
say
What would you rate? What would you give the issue, and then like what would you rate this like run?
I would rate this issue a 3.5. I only say that because so the art's very stylized. It's got a little bit of a cartoony feel to it at times. I think the colors are very bright and vibrant. However, I think it oversaturates the page sometimes, especially with that Mr. Miracle color costume. Like red, yellow, and
It's
green are kind
bright.
of harsh. And so it's like when you have too much of that, and then he's got like these little yellow discs he flies on, and his energy blasts are yellow, and then like Barda's daughter is like got her energy blast. Like the page is just like, whoa, okay. My eyes hurt a little bit, but other than that, I think it's pretty solid. The series as a whole, I would rate it as a 4. I think it was a very solid telling of Shiloh. Like I said, introducing him into the current DC continuity, and yeah, it's just a good story.
Okay.
Recommend. Recommend. It's only 6 issues, so keep up with that. I really do like how DC's kind of been doing these little contained series of,
Yeah.
you got a certain number with the possibility to expand. Swamp Thing also came out this week from Ryan V and Mike Perkins. I didn't get a chance to read it yet, but I'm sure it's amazing. But they also just announced that that series has now been extended to 16 issues, which is like going to be great. So
Oh,
there's a
shout
nice
out to
little
that.
year to it. Yeah, it's been getting really, again, it's been getting good reviews. You
I,
guys should get
I've
on
all of it
it.
on my timeline on most like comic book things. All I've ever seen people talk about is Swamp Thing being really, really good. So
Highly recommend
check that
that.
out.
And also, for those who are fans of Magic, there's a image book, The Magic Order, that's written by Mark Miller, and the first version had Olivia Coipel on art. They've done like a second version of that that came out this week. That's on my list that I really need to get to. Stuart Amonin is actually doing the art for
Ooh.
this one. Yeah, so it's like going to be really exciting. I need to get into it. But and our last book on the list is Winter Guard #3, and that's from Ryan Cady with art from Jen Balzadua. Um, I'm not gonna lie to you, I forgot to pick this up this week.
I mean, well, I'm not gonna lie to y'all. It was just okay.
Oh no!
I read it, and
Was
I'm not gonna
Yelena
lie, it was
given?
just
Because that's all
okay.
I really care about.
Yelena wasn't even featured that much in this, actually. She, maybe that's why it wasn't that great. but neither was Darkstar. I kind of got into this mini because I like Darkstar and I thought I would get a little bit more of her. But this issue was pretty much you find out about Dracula is the main kind of person that is doing a lot of speaking in this issue. Yeah. So the last issue when they found out they needed to go get something from Dracula, this issue, the Winter Guard shows up to Dracula's court, and there's this whole like conversation between the two parties, just like basically BSing and who can measure the longest, basically,
Mm-hmm.
And then they finally talk about how that what's his name, Red Guardian, that he basically came across these this information that could basically like get out and like change the world if they found out about all these different like dealings and stuff that went on, and he separated it out into like 4 different parts, scattered out the 4 parts everywhere, and the last piece of the 4 parts he gave it to Dracula, which I didn't know that like Red Guardian and Dracula were like a thing, because the way that they talk about it in this, like I guess Red Guardian's past, like he had a past with Dracula and that's like his arch villain, but like
not
when
arch
it came
villain.
time for him, yeah, 'cause, like, when it came time for him to break up these pieces, like one of them he had to go back and give it to Dracula because he knew he'd use it for leverage and like never destroy it if he ever needed it or something. And I was like, oh, I didn't know this whole like back history with Red Guardian and and Dracula, but okay. Yeah, and then Yelena and Red Guardian end up showing up also to Dracula's keep, and like everyone's on a table just saying like, who wants the piece the most. Dracula basically ends up giving it to Red Guardian. Red Guardian and Yelena take the piece and dip. They just don't even like wait around, talk it out with you, take the piece and bounce. And they finally get out. They try to break free, and they have a helicopter waiting to pick them up. Yelena and Red Guardian are on it, but Red Guardian kicks Yelena off of the helicopter, and he says, I have to take this like by myself from here on out. Like I got to do this solo. Kicks her down, and she has to take on the Winter Guard, I'm assuming, in the next issue.
Okay. I'll be back to that one, man. Issue 4 is the money maker, sounds like.
The finale might be where it's at, but like so far this penultimate issue, because I think it's only a 4-part mini. This was all right. It was mostly a bunch of like Dracula talking about how like I was that bad bitch and I'm the one who has the piece. So like everybody got to listen to me.
Okay. Do you think this series will make you want to like continue to read about the Winter Guard and all that?
No. Sorry. Okay. I would like to get a little bit more interested in them, but this did not really like make me be like, oh yeah, I'm a big Winter Guard fan.
You just want Darkstar back.
Yeah. And even that, I thought I'd get a little bit more of her, but I have to be fair, it's not a Darkstar mini, it's the Winter Guard.
That is true. Could you imagine? Who would you have on a Darkstar mini, okay?
That would be hot. I feel like she'd have to end up doing something with Krakoa. Maybe get like a X-Men Unlimited arc or something.
Oh, that would actually be really cute for her. Have her go, like, have her hang out with the other Russian mutants, Colossus, Ilyana. She can even just bring Iceman around because they're supposed to be homies from their champion days.
The champions, yeah. He had like a crush too back in the day before. You know how we all had a crush on a girl at some point.
We all had a crush. I had a couple girlfriends actually. Okay.
Oh no, that's right. Same. Okay. Oh my God, this boy last night, I was like, I thought he was so cute. And I was like, trying to talk to him, really cute. He was tall. And he was like, I was with my homegirl who I came here with, and he was like, oh, I thought y'all were a couple. That's why I didn't talk to you earlier. And I was like, no.
Oh my gosh, let me tell you, Like when my homegirls hate going out with me because men always think I'm with them and they like won't hit on them. I'll never forget me and my homegirls. We went to New Orleans one year and I was walking around. We're like walking Burger Street and some man comes up to me and he's like, "Sir, if you don't hurry up and marry her, I'm gonna do it." I said, "Oh, you can't. Don't let me
Like what I'm
stop
gonna
you." I was like, "Go ahead, give it a ring, homie." Um, so I feel that that's a struggle. But with that, let's go ahead. Let's take a little break, and then we'll come back for our panel.
do.
I couldn't remember how to spell Icarus's name for some reason. Don't ask me why.
Did you think it had two Ks
Yes.
or with a C?
I knew it
I
had the C, but I was
think
putting
there
two
is an
K's.
Icarus with two K.
Is it?
I think
I
there
was
is an Icarus that has two Ks.
because I was like typing it. And I was like, this just does not look right for some reason. But I don't know. We're back.
Anywho, welcome back, y'all, to the panel section of another relaunch. And this week, we're going to have the topic of switching around some rogues galleries. Now, I'm a fan of a good villain, and
Hmm.
I feel
Hmm.
like right now, the villains haven't really been hidden the way that I feel like they should be in a lot of the books. The heroes have been doing some great stuff, but I would love to see like some villains really take some large steps in there. But I think that
Hmm.
would help is if a lot of the villains kind of switch. You know how like Kingpin kind of started as a like Spider-Man villain, but now
Hmm.
he's way more associated with, like Daredevil
Daredevil.
and all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I feel like sometimes switching up some villains could really like help maybe get some things started and increase some really cool stories. So I really want to talk about like if you could switch around some villains to have them go after different heroes or switch some role galleries around, what would you switch? Now,
Hmm.
uh, I will kick it off and let you know that one of the ideas I had was Iron Man. Now I'm not the biggest Iron Man fan, but I have read some Iron Man books back around after AVX. I started to get a little bit more into him. And read some of his solo stuff, and he's got a lot of like tech villains.
Okay.
Obviously, he's big in the tech world. I think that it would be dope if Lady Deathstrike became a Iron Man villain, and she's all about the
Hmm.
tech in her body,
A
and I
cyborg.
like to think of her. I like to think of her as kind of like the leader of the Reavers. Like I don't know why I associate her with the Reavers. Like even though like I don't really know if they've been together in a while, but I would like to think of her as like the leader or like the
Yeah.
matriarch of these Reavers who all like have these like cyborg enhancements to their body. And why not go and get like Iron Man arc reactor tech to soup up your body if you're trying to be like this major cyborg. So I think that like her coming around and becoming a new villain for him, different kind of enemy for him to fight and stuff, I
Yeah.
think that would be really cool to see.
Okay. Do you like when kind of techie heroes have mostly techie villains?
Not necessarily. I do like it when there is a magic villain for a tech hero because then they have to think of something outside the box to get around it. But I do like while I like that kind of opposite matchup, I do prefer when the villain and hero can kind of take each other, if that makes
Okay.
sense. So if
Yeah.
you've got some great tech, I like to have the other person have some great tech because if you've got great tech, but like the other character is like, I don't know, telekinetic and can shoot fire blasts and stuff like that. All that tech probably ain't gonna do too help for you
What you gonna
against
do?
all of that. So
You're gonna be on the floor.
exactly. So I do prefer it if they can at least like
Keep up a little
fight
bit.
back.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Um,
Have you ever like seen any moments where you liked when a villain kind of went after a different villain?
Yeah, I think it's so exciting. I always used to want that for the X-Men. I think I've talked about it. I don't know if I've talked about it on here or not, but with folks about just X-Men villains as a whole, I personally don't think the X-Men has like a great roster of villains. I think they've got some really nice ones in between there. I think, but when you think about them as a whole, it kind of gets a little muddied. I think a lot of their stuff is fighting. themselves or like fighting other mutants. And I think now, especially when you get to the Krakoa era, I remember that was a big thing people were worried about. It was like, oh, who are they going to fight? And now we've introduced a lot of new ones for them. But I always used to want like them to fight someone like the Serpent Society, just to like get them out there
Oh
into that
yeah.
world because I think that's also a group who kind of like aligns with their motives and their stories that they could go up against. And whenever they
Hmm.
come go against Cap, it's like very entertaining. So I would have always loved to see something like that. There's actually someone mostly on the DC side who I think about when it comes to this. I actually have I typed this out in my notes app. Shout out to the notes app. It really does save lives out here in the
It
world
comes through.
all the
This
time.
switching of the villains thing, I think, really does help with like instead of always having to create a new character, which I appreciate. I do love a new villain. Like I said, the Vox Supreme I've been enjoying in Captain Marvel. I've I think I might end up liking Doctor Stasis in X-Men,
Okay.
just
He's got a
depending
hot
on what
suit.
what he ends up being able to do. Yeah. So we'll see whatever he like what his powers and stuff give, but sometimes I don't think you have to create something new. You could just repurpose something old.
Repurpose. So on my DC side, everybody knows like I'm a huge proponent for a Vixen solo series from DC Comics. I think one of the, but
Well,
I
I
think
got something for her too.
okay. But I think one of the big things about DC heroes, especially heroes in general, is that want to go solo is like you have to have an established rogues gallery. And Vixen is one of those characters who doesn't really have one. She's only ever really been on teams, so we haven't gotten to see too much of like her personal world. But there are a couple of heroes that exist that I think could fit in line with her stories and make really nice. One would be Plastique. She actually showed up
Oh,
in that
oh.
Justice League run that Vixen was a part of with like Red Arrow and Hawk Girl and all of them. They had all of these villains attacking, and
Mm-hmm.
like Plastique and Vixen kind of fought off against each other. And I was like, oh, that's giving hot because Plastique is like throwing her bombs and doing all the stuff, and like Vixen's like, oh, I gotta turn to like a rhino to like not feel the blast, to have strong skin. Um, and the girls
For
always
people
need another
who
girl
may not
who's also
remember Plastique, she was also in the Justice League Unlimited. Do you remember that episode when they did like that Task Force X that broke into the
oh
Watchtower?
yeah,
Um,
she was
and
in
they
that.
like they like infiltrated by trying to be like some of the workers of the Watchtower, and like they
Mhm.
went up there and Plastique was in that. She was hot in that too.
Plastique is a dog, very much. Another one who I really like to go up against Vixen is one of Captain. Oh, his name isn't Captain Marvel anymore. Excuse me. Shazam.
Don't want to get
um,
slapped with the
Doc.
rights violation.
Yes. Dr. Savannah, who's one of his villains, who's actually like one of the villain of his movie.
Oh.
I think he's somebody who I would
Mm.
love to see fight Vixen. He deals with a lot of like mystical stuff and some science stuff. I think he would be very interested in her totem and like how it works in its connection to the red and everything like that. So I'd like to see them face up off against each other. I also think Sportsmaster would be really fun to see go against Vixen. He's
Ooh.
just
Mhm.
yeah, like he's just kind of like a guy who seems like he would clash with her a little bit, his motif and how they do. So those are ones who I like really want to see get started off. And like if Vixen was to get a solo, like those are three who I would love to kind of cement into her world and have her fight them. Also Queen of Fables, who's originally a Wonder Woman villain. But I don't think
Mhm.
she does too much with Diana. And again, I think of Mari and Vixen, and she kind of plays on like that supernatural, magical side a little bit at times. So seeing her face off against that would be cool. I think the red in general can lead to a lot of stuff for her.
Okay, you know what? Let's just go ahead and stick. We're not going to change this into a Vixen panel. That'll come around. But I will go ahead and tell you because I had some ideas for her too, and one of them was I would love for Cheetah to become a Vixen villain. Now, the
That
way
would
that I
be
would think of like Cheetah becoming one would, I would want her to probably want to like take her totem and use it to kind of break her curse. Like she figures out that like
mm,
maybe somehow the totem could help break her curse and like bring her back to being a regular woman. And I think those kind of fights between Cheetah and Vixen would be hot because
yeah.
Vixen obviously could become a cheetah, but like that would probably be too evenly
Mhm.
matched. She had be other animals. I think that would be like really dope to see the two like her become a villain.
You know what's funny that you actually say you want Cheetah? Because I have on my list the character Hyena. to fight Vixen.
Boom.
Hi, Hyena is actually a Firestorm villain, and nobody's reading about Firestorm these days. So it's like he actually, I'm not gonna lie. So for this panel, I was doing like a lot of research into like different characters and who they fight and all that stuff like that. And I was like, he's actually got like a nice little solid roster of people who he goes up against. And I was like, there's no Firestorm books, and he's nowhere to be. I was like, so all these great characters are just going away. So I was like, I feel like Cheetah, while great, nobody wants to take her away from Diana. So I was like,
No,
let me
that
get
is
the
fine.
next. I was like, let me get the next best thing, and that would be Hyena. And so I was like, going to have her go up against
But
them too.
they should take it from Diana because, like, girl, that matchup don't make no sense.
Well, isn't it supposed to be like Cheetah has like strength? She gets very strong.
Strong enough to fight Diana. Like, come on.
I mean, she hasn't killed her yet.
See, and she said she kills her villains.
Allegedly, we saw that movie.
Unfortunately. Unfortunately, we saw
Did
that
you hear
movie.
they're about to start working on the third one?
That's sad.
I think about that clip all the time of Miss Patty Jenkins talking to someone, and she's like talking about how the studio was saying, "Do not release this movie," and she's like, "It looks stupid now, but you
She's like,
haven't
it looks
seen."
stupid now. You have to wait to the effects. It's done. So you have to wait. And it's girl, we waited there. We saw.
Hey, it is so funny when you think about like just the history of that movie and everything that goes along with it. I can't believe. Did you see that Gal Gadot actually got announced to be the evil queen in the live action Snow
Yes,
White?
she's still getting roles. You would think that would have been it.
Like
But they
what?
trust her.
They said it's an autobiography.
I mean, that's what I saw.
That is crazy to me. But there's going to be a Wonder Woman 3. Maybe she'll get Cheetah in that one. But yes, Cheetah I think would be cool to be fight Vixen. I would love to see a little bit more of Batman's rogues branch out of Arkham. Just because I think they could. I
Yeah.
mean, but I think that's also a thing with Batman too. It's just like maybe I just don't want to see them fight Batman anymore. But it's like I like to see a couple of people. Scarecrow is a villain who I really enjoy. I think him kind of spreading the fear toxin and going further, doing something else. I mean, there are other cities. He can go to Star City and fight Green
Hmm.
Arrow or something like that.
Now, do those ever feel weird to you? Like when you read a comic and a different villain would pop up in your hero's book? Like, does that feel off, or do you kind
Not
of welcome it?
really. I welcome it because I feel like it makes it more of a shared universe. I'll never forget during that Gambit solo series that James Asmus wrote, he had Gambit fighting, what's his name? The albino one? Hard Case? Not Hard Case. Tombstone.
Albino, the Tombstone. Oh yeah, the Spider-Man villain.
Yeah. He had Gambit going up against Tombstone, and like I don't know why I couldn't remember his name because I actually really like Tombstone, but I thought that was like super interesting, and it fit in with Gambit. He was like doing his like little thief thing, going around stealing from people, and that brought him into the underworld and all this stuff, and he ended up fighting Tombstone. And I was like, oh, that's hot. I
That
would
is
love Black.
cool. But I
I
think
would
it's probably
love.
easier for like street level, so you could like sprinkle
Hey,
them around.
that happens. The streets where you want to be. Um, I think it's also interesting. I kind of love when the heroes also team up with other heroes to go fight their villains with them.
Hmm.
Again, I think about something like Green Arrow. Red Hood popped up, and Batman had to come help take him down, which was always fun to see. And it's just like, oh, look at these folks. But like Red Hood had teamed up with Brick, who is one of Green Arrow's normal villains. So you kind of got like this crossover. I love when the villains interact because again, why wouldn't these people talk to each
Right.
other? So I'm into it.
One of the other characters I Vixen was actually Poison Ivy because I thought like kind of like what you said with like the red and stuff. I felt like maybe the green and the red could have some kind of. I figured they have some kind of like turmoil or something over there. I know with the Magic Girls be like the colors don't like each other and
That's more of a Green Arrow thing. I mean, Green Lantern thing. Excuse me.
what?
The colors not liking each other. That's Green Lantern. Okay. Well, um, is there anyone who you think has like a really weak rogues gallery?
Sometimes I feel like while I do think that his rogues gallery is like individually they're popular, I just don't see how they could beat him. And it's the Flash.
Yeah, and you know what's crazy? I've actually heard really good things about Flash rogues. Like everyone
Yeah,
who I know who reads Flash
they're
rogues,
cool.
they say like Mirror Master, Gorilla Grodd. Who else does he fight?
um, I think maybe Count. I think Count Vertigo might be one.
Count
Um,
Vertigo. He's got like
uh,
there's like a group of five or something like that, I think. I don't know. I'm sorry. I don't read the Flash books. I don't see it for the speedsters.
he's got oh, Captain Cold is one. Heat Wave. I did
Oh,
like Captain Cold.
Captain Cold's cool.
Actually, one of his villains is someone I actually had on my list as someone I would change, and that is Captain Boomerang. He should be a Green Arrow villain. That just like makes sense.
Oh, that does make sense. Arrows boomerangs. Okay, I'm into that. I like that a lot. Um, I guess Flash does have some good villains. Shout out to him. Good for him. Spider-Man also has really good villains. I would love to see Vulture go against Falcon. A battle
What'd you
of the
say?
air. Falcon against Vulture, and just like having them fight up in the air, because Falcon is like this character who is supposed to be really good at flying, obviously. And I think about it's funny, we were just having a conversation on Twitter about Warren Worthington III, the X-Man known as Angel, and how he's kind of like a useless X-Man. He's not smart like Scott. I mean, smart like Hank. He's not tactical like Scott. He's not powerful like Gene. He's not funny like Bobby. Xavier has his own money. He's not really a great businessman from what I saw when I was catching up on X Corp. So it's like, what does he bring to this team? Everybody's like, oh, he's hot and he flies. But I was like, there's nothing special about his flying. Is he supposed to be like really good at it? Is he supposed to have aerial combat? Does he use weapons in the air? None of that. Sam does all of those things.
Anybody with a jetpack can fly.
Okay. So it was just kind of like, no. But Sam, one of the things that is
Had a
about
jet.
him his flying is like how good he's supposed to be at flying and like hitting angles and aerial combat and stuff like that. And Vulture is a villain who uses a lot of good stuff in the air. So I would like to see them kind of go head to head.
That'd be kind of cool. I feel like I would also probably want Vulture's suit to be a little bit more like souped up, you know, and maybe him probably de-aged just a tad.
Aged.
Because I like older than Aunt May, right?
I mean, how old is Aunt May? They always doing something with her.
Sliding time scale.
All the time. All the time. It doesn't make any sense.
I had to kind of switch. And they haven't really used him too much as a villain recently. That I would like probably down that route to be a little bit more of a villain. And that is art. I would make him a Captain Marvel villain. One thing about my girl is like, who is she going to fight? He is a Skrull that has Skrull power so he can shapeshift. And he's got the powers of all the Fantastic Four.
Oh.
Fight him.
Does that feel a little too powerful for her, though?
Was that shade?
I'm just asking a question. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know too much about like who Carol. Obviously, we ask who is Carol going to fight. I think that when we give her someone to fight, it also needs to be someone she could beat. And it's like a super scroll with the powers of Fantastic Four. I don't know. Maybe it's just me.
Captain Marvel could definitely figure out the Florida powers, her powers. Is someone strong enough for her to take? You know?
I mean, okay. I'll take your word for it. That's just where I gotta be with that.
I do. I think she needs some stronger villains, and I feel like Clark has all four of the powers of the
I think she's another one of those people who maybe you would have to kind of like go back and give like some of those tech villains too, because I think about like with the tech villains, they're always looking for something powerful to build, or like a new machine, or like a new android or something like that. So you need something that would probably be able to A, absorb her energy blast, and the B, be able to counteract her strength. So throw her in there. Maybe she should fight a couple of Reavers. Lady Deathstrike would tear her out. I'm sorry.
I, I don't know how none. I mean, they would take a wave of them to like become be a threat, but I'm with it.
We'll see.
Who else we got on your list?
um, Let me see here. My listing list. You
'Cause
know,
I've got another one, and it is Deathstroke and Wonder
okay.
Woman. He has that one suit, like one of these features on his suit is like this like icon technology thing where like
Hmm.
things that are bigger than a punch like don't hurt him or whatever. So that's how you explain how he takes on like Superman or something. And I think the fights with the Deathstroke and Wonder Woman would be hot, and if
Hmm.
especially if he has like that kind of armor on his suit. And I think that they're like what they both stand for oppose each
Yeah.
other. you know, um,
Hmm.
Deathstroke don't give a damn, and Wonder Woman cares. So I feel like the two of them could kind of clash and make
I
some
can see that.
for a
I
better
can see
villain.
that. And then Deathstroke can actually fight, so he's one of those people who will probably give Diana a little bit of competition in that regard too. So that could work out a little bit. I guess it just would come down to, can his icon suit withstand her like punches, which I'm sure they'd make it so it could,
Mm,
but uh, it's just like, yeah. But no, I would be into that. I think
you
he'd
know,
cut her up a little bit, just a
she
little bit.
needs a little something.
She definitely does. She needs that. Another one of my other ones is one that I've said here before. It was a little bit of a relaunch for me, but I would like for Captain Betsy to fight Amora the Enchantress, and I actually would like Amora to kind of have.
of, of course you do.
Of course I do. Of course I do. I would kind of like for
Come on,
Amora to have.
everybody loves a little fave on fave violence.
It works sometimes, and it's like because you don't know who to root for really.
Uh-huh.
And I think of Amora, and she's someone who I would kind of like to see. Obviously, one of her big things is like Asgard. She actually really loves Asgard. She kind of wants to be in charge. She wants to rule it, but she loves for people to adore her and like want to give her everything and just be the object of everyone's affection. And I think her character has kind of gotten to a point where, as much as she loves Asgard, there are 9 realms. You can go anywhere, and I think I'm more kind of exploring those other realms and then coming into other world and seeing this place like where Saturnine sits in this high position of power. That's something that I definitely see a more saying, oh yeah, I could do this, and I get my own people, and people gotta worship me, and I gotta do all this stuff, and I get my own little personal bodyguard of like a mutant superpower like thing. Yeah, totally want that happening.
I would totally be about that because, I do have my feelings, but Amora has been really fun in the Captain Marvel books. And one thing about her, when she comes around, she's throwing some shit up, and I like if somebody's gonna shake the table. So
All the time, all the time. And then like in
kind of girl that
Amora's
will come in and
brain,
probably dethrone what's that one witch?
Saturnine.
What's the main witch? Uh-uh.
I mean,
More
oh,
off her
Morgan.
throne.
Yeah. Morgan Doom's girl. Oh, and then you can like bring Doom in again. And I love me some Doom Betsy. I'm here for
Mm, mm. Okay, my last an X-Men villain, and
it. Okay.
people probably shouldn't be shocked by this, would be and because I love a genocidal robot, why not go ultimate
Hmm.
genocidal robot and just have him really send out some waves, maybe even have him team up with Nimrod, a Nimrod,
Okay.
uh, Ultron team up, AI,
I can see that. That would that's who Carol should fight. And it would make sense because she's like got history with the X-Men too. So like, oh,
That would actually be kind of hot too.
it would be like that would be the one. That's the one. And it's just like,
Okay, maybe we need to bring Ultron into the book. We're gonna woke something up because I don't know if she could actually, with him and his adamantium,
Mhm.
she could take.
Hey, it might be time. Let's call Kelly back up. Let her know.
All right, y'all. So that was the panel of the villains. Let us know if you guys have any kind of villains you'd like to see go after different heroes. Yeah, and then we'll take a break and come back and talk about the Eternals.
I got some thoughts.
Same.
All right. My knuckles be cracking. I need to add more calcium to my diet.
I just need to add better food to my diet. Like, I just stop eating all this bullshit.
I need to do that too, but it's like eating healthy is like so difficult. Like it's so
Yeah.
difficult. And then especially when you have, and like everybody knows, I do not like to be in the kitchen at all. I do not like to cook whatsoever. And so it's like a big part of eating correctly is cooking all the stuff yourself. And it's who has the time for that? And then like if you go out and buy healthy stuff, it's very expensive. It's just like you can't win. You can't
And
win.
then
It's
it
ridiculous.
like it like expires in like an hour and a half. So you gotta
So
cook it right
quick,
then and there.
right then and there. And then it's just like, no, again, that requires me to go back into the kitchen. You gotta be in the kitchen like every single night. You can't have leftovers because it's not gonna taste as good the next day. It's ridiculous. And so
That's
as a
why. So
result, I
that's why
just
I
go
just
to
don't do it.
Chipotle.
Chipotle, or when I'm feeling spicy, I might go to a Wendy's.
Okay. Popeyes. That's my other
Oh
go-to.
yes, okay. First of all, I just had Popeyes the other day before I left for my trip, and I tried the hottie sauce, and it's actually
You
pretty
like
good.
it?
I
I
like it.
had it.
Yeah,
It was good. I was like, oh, this is like it's got a little spicy kick to it. Somebody said
yeah.
it reminds them a little bit of Chick-fil-A Polynesian sauce with like some heat.
Okay. It makes me feel like it's like a sweet and sour sauce with like a little heat to it. I like
Mm-hmm.
it.
It was hot. Hottie.
Mhm. All right, y'all. Welcome back to another relaunch. And this section of the show, we're going to be doing a rewatch of The Eternals. Now, this movie just came out on this past Friday, and it stars Gemma Chan, Angelina Jolie, Brian Tyree, and like so many of these like big
King.
name,
Hyatt,
big name actors.
Robert Madden. That's his name, right? Robert Madden. He was on Game of
Yes,
Thrones.
yes.
Good guy.
One of my best friends saw him at Whole Foods. He's short.
He looks short though. It's because
Yeah.
it's like
When
he's
I
so
was
stocky.
Yeah. When I was watching the movie, I was like, oh, he must have been click clacking in these heels around the set because there's no way he is taller than everybody else.
He
I know
definitely
he's
had on
short.
his brooch boots, and he was like he was giving a neat little pump. I was like, I'm here for it all the way.
Yes. So Eternals is about the celestial beings from in the movie. We are told that they're from Olympia, but later we found out that that's actually not the truth. But they were these celestial beings that have been sent to Earth to protect humans from the deviants. Now, I feel as though there was a lot of
Crying.
fresh. Yes, there was a lot of crying, but there was because this was such a new property. There was a lot to
Mm-hmm.
they had to put into this. They had to really set the
Mm-hmm.
scene for people because let's be honest, the general public don't know who the Eternals are, but I feel like this is the first MCU property that even comic book fans don't know who the fuck Eternals are. Like,
So really quick, like I'm gonna jump forward to the end of my movie. We are like We are like in the movie, both the after credit scenes have gone off. You know, everybody's kind of like sitting there waiting for people to go out and like digesting what they saw. And there's this group of friends who's sitting next to me. And when I tell you they were the most confused people I have ever seen at the end of a Marvel movie in my entire life, like I could overhear them, and all I heard was, "What? I need to catch up. I'm so lost. What did we just watch? What happened?" And then so I had to explain the second after credit scene to one of the guys, and he was like, what are they building to? What are they doing right now?" He's like, "I don't know what's going on." Two of the people in the group fell asleep.
Oh, well, there were some sleepy moments in the movies.
A couple.
This is long.
It was. And I will say, while I remember we were talking about this last week or 2 weeks ago, however long ago, about all the Eternals reviews that are coming out and people are kind of bashing it, saying it's bad or whatever. I don't necessarily agree with them that it was a bad movie. However, I do understand a little bit of the criticism because I do felt like some things, like you said, went on a little bit too long. And it felt that way at times. But like you said, this is a brand new Marvel property and they're trying to introduce a lot of stuff. So I'll also say this movie felt like a big setup for a lot of future things that are coming down to the MCU. Which is, I guess, a pro and a con of it. All MCU movies feel like a little bit of setup to a certain extent, obviously.
Yeah.
But this one, like, more so just because it was like, we know they're the Eternals, but then we also know that next phase of the MCU is going on, all the stuff that's happening with the Celestials, some of the after credit scenes. It felt like, obviously, this is not the end of them. It felt like a part one of their story.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a part one, like a really big setup for what you could do with him. But again, that to me always feels like such a heavy thing to do because one of the things that I didn't necessarily like about this movie was that I didn't feel the stakes of it all. But I feel like I rarely feel the stakes for the Eternals because they're eternal. Like, you're gonna come back. Because okay, let's just go ahead and dive right into the movie then. Because
let's do it.
There was like, so the movie opens and we learn all about like the deviants basically right off the bat are attacking and they know exactly where the Eternals are. They're attacking them head on and Cersei gets attacked. Cersei and Sprite and I want to call him Black Knight even though he wasn't Black Knight yet in this movie. Yeah, Dane. And we see some cool like little power stuff with Cersei. I did find it interesting that they altered her powers where she has to touch things in order to transmute them. I think that was new. I don't know if she ever did anything like that.
Very rogue. I've seen her. She's done it from far away in the comics. I think the touching thing was new.
Yeah, or at least just a way to like kind of like depower her for the MCU, I guess. Which they definitely did a lot with these characters. But the movie opens with the deviants kind of already attacking, and then it becomes this whole like let's get the group back together film, and all of them are like traveling around and trying to get all the team back together. Now there was a moment where Ajak, Salma Hayek, is giving this like speech about like the Eternals and what they've been doing and how they've been protecting everybody. And later we find out after she dies, spoiler, we're gonna get really spoiler heavy in this, sorry y'all. So after she dies, we find out that like Cersei was picked to be the new Eternal Prime, and she's the one who can talk to Erisham, the Celestial, who like created all of the Eternals, and he's basically giving them like, girl, you were confused before, but here go all the tea. Y'all made y'all. There is no Olympia, like everything. So they just flat out just told him, which was interesting that like you would think that they would have kept it more of a secret, I guess, but I guess he didn't care. It's interesting that Celestial's like, oh, who cares if you know the secret, girl? Like, we're coming regardless.
I was about to say, I feel like at that point he was like, the emergency is gonna happen. He's gonna show up. So I don't really care if you know or not because it's about to happen. So whatever.
Right. Yeah. So like, while he's giving that speech and he says like, oh, you know, I created you guys and there's all these bodies. Like after you die from the previous planet, like you just get reborn into this new body. As soon as he said that, I thought, okay, well then what's stopping them from just like making another Ajak after she died?
Nothing.
Right? Like can't they make another? Can't Ajak come back?
Yeah. I believe so. But so for me, I thought that was kind of the point. that yes, we feel like in the beginning, oh, we feel all that like heartbreak that knowing Ajax is dead and all this other stuff, but then we find out, oh no, it's just a lie. She can come back.
Mm,
But at that point, it's no longer about Ajax. It's about all the other people, all the
right.
humans that are about to die. Which was nice to see that not all the Eternals were so caring about. Like Kingo was very much saying, "Oh, okay, like
good, good luck to them.
I'll see y'all on the new world."
So yeah, I liked that they were really like really giving you all the information about the Eternals, but I felt like some of it in revealing those aspects of it, it felt like that kind of took away the stakes because you could just come back.
Very much so. Who were your favorite like Eternals in the movie all over?
As a whole, I would have to say, I mean, let me just say it, Thena, like Angelina Jolie gave every time she was on screen. That blonde wig, I was into it. All the weapons she was doing, her fight scenes, loved it. I would have to say Makari was another one that like normally I don't go up for the speedsters, but every scene she was in was fantastic. I have to see it again, but I think her fight scene against Cersei may have been my favorite.
Hmm.
It may have been.
Okay.
Um, and so Makari, Thena, and I want to say I'm gonna say Icarus.
Really?
What I didn't like about Icarus is what they ended up doing with him in this movie. I didn't like that they made him a villain.
So I will say that the story of Icarus and Gilgamesh kind of felt like they had been switched. I feel like their roles should have kind of been reversed a little bit, just because when you think about Gilgamesh in the comic books, he is very much the eternal killer.
Yeah.
So I could see him doing something like that. I did not care for Icarus at all, just in any sense, even
Mm.
before it was all revealed about what he was doing and how he had kind of betrayed the team. It was just like, oh, you just tall and shooting your little laser beams. And like you said, they all felt a little weak
Defense is
because
depowered, right?
they were taking a long time to take some of those deviants down.
A long time. And I was like, nah, now these deviants don't look like they're supposed to give y'all this much trouble.
and and I will say that was also another kind of issue I had with the movie. I felt like the head deviant who they had, who was killing the Eternals and absorbing their powers, his fight with Athena, it was a little anticlimactic
Yeah, I wanted that.
to me.
Okay, so honestly though, I felt like that about all of the powers. I mean all of the fights. While I enjoyed some of the fight scenes and I enjoyed the CGI with them, yes, I was happy with what they were doing with Icarus because they warming up that CGI for when Wonder Man finally appears. But they getting that practice in now. But like it truly felt like everybody was still kind of like depowered. Yeah, like Icarus should be way stronger than that. He was throwing punches like he was like Monet or like
Not
you
Monet.
know like
Um,
where was the multi-ton strength coming from?
I will say the one who felt the strongest was Makari. But that was because
Okay.
she like when she was fighting Icarus and she was like, and so again, like you said, we are not the hugest fan of speedsters, but if you're going to use a speedster, that's how you're going to use them. The thing I
Okay.
liked about Makari a lot was she had a very lackadaisical kind of personality. She was chilling. She's the fastest woman in the world. I'm pretty sure most things don't hold her interest for a very long time. However,
I like that they kind of made her a thief with that thing too. I feel like a
yeah,
lot of every not a lot of speedsters. I want to say every speedster has the personality of like they're impatient and like they are like everything around them is moving too slow. So I like that they didn't just give her that kind of personality. They were like, oh, she's just like takes trinkets because she's so fast.
because she needs something to do. And like that battle part of just her going nonstop at Icarus, and it made me think that maybe that should be the thing with speedsters. Maybe they should be fighting like super powerful characters, so they can
That
really
would give
utilize
them
that
some
shit.
yeah.
So she was though. I honestly, and it might be blasphemous because, as I say, I love a warrior woman, but I wasn't feeling Athena that much. Angelina Jolie is the coolest. She
You
looks
wasn't
good.
you wasn't feeling Athena even though she was giving Betsy them battles was giving Betsy down.
The battles were nice, but the character herself, she was a liability.
Damn, you ain't got to say it like that. She's suffering from a mental illness.
She's got her mad weary, so we got to keep stopping the fights to calm her down because she's trying to kill us. So we got to potentially kill her. She got to hide off on the side because she
Speaking
can't
of
really
that though, side note of this mad, what was it,
mad weary.
mad weary? I felt like they gave that to Angelina Jolie because they only had enough budget for like a few fight scenes for her. Angelina Jolie told them, "I'm only working out for about a month and a half. Y'all gonna have to."
You got to give her something that does put it. Yeah, I wasn't. Thena wasn't really giving it to me like that. I was happy, and then the Mad Weary was also confusing me because she would be triggered by the battles that were happening, but once Gilgamesh, spoiler alert, once Gilgamesh dies, all of a sudden she's got control of it and she can go and fight deviants with no problem.
Right, and then like it was kind of coming out, but I thought that like she heard Gilgamesh's voice from that deviant, and maybe that kind of helped her shake it or whatever, or that they were trying to say that she like was able to, like, I don't know, fight it off on her own. I don't know.
Child. It was nice of Gilgamesh to take care of her for like however many years he was doing. That
Yeah.
was.
I wish. Actually, though, speaking of Gilgamesh, he was one of those characters that like he is an example. Him and I will say Kingo at times too were the examples of when they were getting a little too MCU with the comedy. Like every line doesn't have to be cut with a joke. You know what I mean? But but I feel like they just pretty much told like, you know, come on, Gianni, just be you, and we'll
just be you.
We'll work.
Yeah,
we'll work it out from that.
His Kingo was different. I enjoyed it for the most part. I do wish I would have seen a little bit more of that Shadow Warrior stuff from the comic books, but
no,
he did nice. His finger gun power was a little strange.
I didn't really like it. I didn't like that it was just like.
Yeah,
you know,
like maybe if we had a different hand movement or something, but it was effective. It did what it needed to. I like when he made the big bomb one and like blew the deviant's head off. I thought that was pretty cool. And I also loved his ballet. Great part of it. Like he should have been doing.
The ballet was great
because he was a really great addition to the team, and I loved how he stuck there as they were trying to go stop the Celestial, and then when Kingo decided, whatever, we're gonna peace out, he was still very much saying, hey, thank you guys, I think it's great, I think you're great. I don't know if I would have stuck with Kingo afterwards, because I feel like you just let me know you don't care about my life, but that's not my place. They were great. Who else did I like?
Cersei? Were you not a fan of
She was cool.
Cersei? She was nice to me too.
She
wasn't the Cersei I wanted from the comics.
She's not that party girl who's talking about sleeping around. She was a teacher.
She was Gemma Chan.
she was Gemma Chan. She was very kind-hearted and sweet and pretty and beautiful, powerful. Amazing. She did some amazing things with her power. She turned a volcanic rock into flowers. She was turning like things into water. She had a great time.
I am also kind of an idiot, I guess, when it comes to her powers, because when they talked about her changing so in the movie, they pretty much are building up that like Cersei's becoming more powerful, basically, like she's like developing more stuff with her powers. And she makes it a point to say that she can't turn like organic things, like she can't transmute organic things. But later, while she's fighting a deviant, she like is in this water, and she like changes the deviant into a tree. Now I thought that she just changed the water that the deviant was in into a tree, and that's how she like attacked him. I didn't realize that she actually turned the deviant like into that. So is that what they were trying to say? Like she's gonna be able to do it against organics now?
I think so. That's the thing. Powerful girl. Darling, she's coming.
Yeah.
She's coming. Yeah. But it also makes me wonder, you know, so again, towards the end of the movie, we find out through the emergence, once the Celestial is born, Earth will be destroyed, all the Eternals will get put somewhere else, and then the process will start all over again, because when that Eternal is created, he will create a brand new galaxy that spawns billions of planets. The Eternals stop the Celestial from fully emerging, banding together, combining themselves, giving Cersei enough power to actually transmute him to stone. She did it to stone, right? I thought it was ice at first, but I was like, ice wouldn't make no sense because the sun's shining down on it. I feel like he'd melt, but she turns to stone. As a result, Big Red, what was that Celestial's name? The Big Red one? Arishem.
Yeah.
Arishem. He ends up coming back
Not
and
Big Red.
Clifford, he ends up coming back and grabbing the Eternals. So he grabs Cersei, Phastos, and Kingo.
Yes. Yes.
And he like tells them, okay, you went against me. He's like, I'm gonna judge this planet based on your memories, and he takes them away. I feel like kind of after whatever Cersei goes through with him, after he takes them away, she might come back a little bit more badass because it's like she's gonna be part.
How did you feel about that part when at the end of the we're at the end of the movie, they've done the whole like to get the team back together, they fight the deviants off. Lots of really great intrigue and stuff that I thought were happening with the characters as far as like Ajax knew the whole time, and then later we find out that she had already told Icarus like a while ago, like a week before all of this stuff even set off, and he was the one that actually killed her. So we like are getting all of that from them, and we get towards the end with Erisham, and he says like, you guys stop this celestial. I'm gonna come back and judge your memories to see if this planet is worthy. I don't know how I felt about that because that's giving Galactus. So we skipping him. Or
I mean, maybe Galactus will be a celestial.
See, MCU doing too much now. You're
I mean, I'm not saying that's true. I'm just saying, it could be
that's
something
what it that's what it sounded like.
Is that what you get?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm kind of okay not seeing Galactus.
See, well, I mean, I want him.
I was about to say, I know that's like your corner. That's your mix. He's with that family that you like. But
he's such a bitch.
I'm just okay on that. So,
I love it.
But I mean, we'll see him eventually, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Because they're gonna give us Silver Surfer.
Like with this,
I feel like you have to have Silver Surfer, and you cannot have Silver Surfer without a Galactus.
Unless they make Silver Surfer like, I don't know, an Eternal.
Yeah, could you imagine?
Back in the day, starting to like change a lot of shit. So
look, I was about to say, back in the day, I would have been like, they would never do something like that. But after seeing that Taskmaster,
baby, I said, the MCU made an enemy out of me with that one.
I don't put anything past them now. So whatever.
Icarus isn't like a fave of mine, but he's one character that like in the Eternals books, like I enjoy or whatever. But so watching this movie and seeing another like character that I kind of enjoy, like take a whole different approach to it, I'm like, all right, y'all, we doing too much on my faves. Like I understand y'all changing a lot of my faves that are like, lower tier on my list, but like as we get up to the top ones, let's not switch some shit up.
Speaking of faves, to take a quick turn, did you catch that Excalibur and Arthur reference that they threw out there in the movie? Did you hear that?
Of course I caught it.
Did you hear that?
As soon as Thena picked up that sword and it was like, oh, is that the real like King Arthur sword of Excalibur? She's like, yeah, Excalibur. I was like, oh, Keenan's gonna eat this up. I know he's gonna love this.
Otherworld is coming.
Sounds like it's coming.
Otherworld is coming. It's gonna be so exciting.
Yeah, it's coming.
The first family is on the way. I'm very that was fun. So we've seen the movie now. Let's skip ahead a little bit. We can always come back and talk about those Eternal folks. Because I still want. Actually, no. Let's finish about these Eternals because I'm going to talk about that little thing. Sprite. Do not like.
Well, I mean, do you not like those characters? Because they gave the same kind of story to Monster Girl and Invincible. You know how there's like the kid who can't like change or become an adult, so it's like this weird.
Mm-hmm. No, I like Monster Girl and Invincible. I just don't like Sprite because she's insufferable. Like,
because she's giving Kitty pride.
Giving Kitty pride, very annoying. We can totally empathize with you being stuck as this kid and you wanting to grow up. Fine, we can try and figure out something for that. But you betraying us for this man who don't even like you, and then on top of that, not only do you betray us for this man who barely even notices you, but then you stab me. I'm speaking of Cersei right now. You stab me, then you let me know that you have basically been envious of me my entire life, jealous of me, plotting behind my back, and you was just living with me a couple months ago.
I hate her.
And then we just let her off the hook?
Well, that's because I feel like comic book Cersei would have been like, no, bitch, you're not getting your humanity. You're just going to have to live with what you made. But, MCU Cersei was like, I got a little bit of power left. I can change you into a human. I thought the way that they used the Unimind thing was interesting, too. Like it was like a more of a power up. I don't remember it being a power up. I thought it was more of like a collective way for them to like communicate with each other.
That's what I thought it was as well. But I mean, maybe they'll just take it now as it's a power up. Which again, it's the MCU. They're going to change a couple of things to fit whatever they needed to fit. So I guess it's fine. But I don't necessarily think we'll actually see them do anything with the Unimind again. However, speaking of Unimind, let's talk about further who created that and came up with that idea. Mr. Fastos, the icon himself, and Marvel's first official gay character.
Yes. Let's give it up for him. He was another one that I actually really liked. Brian Tyree was great. I really like felt for him in his scene with the Hiroshima thing, but like because he is obviously like being an inventor, you want to just invent and you want to see people like further their technology and you want to see them like just grow. And to see all of his inventions or whatever just kind of become what humans tend to do with things. That was really sad to see.
And then you get this like word of him moving away from humans and kind of isolating himself. But then when we find him again, he actually has this husband and this son, and he has this family. And he talks about.
I mean, let's talk about it. His husband would have made me change my mind too. I would have.
Okay, like, I was here for it. Like I was here for it. And as he says, you know, these are the people who kind of helped me find my humanity again, or made me love humanity again because I love them. And again, it helps him go to Cersei's side to go and stop the emergence because he don't want to lose that. What's the point?
His fine man and his cute son? No.
Can't do it. But I also love that he had let the husband know everything. The husband wasn't shocked about any of the eternal stuff, the power stuff. Icarus ruined his table. He needs to buy him a new one when he eventually comes back.
Well, you think he's gonna come back?
Yeah.
So fast forward to the movie, listeners. Like after Icarus has like been the villain and like pretty much all of them take him down, which again, you have talked about how Icarus was so strong, but like the Eternals were like easy. They whacked his ass. It's very easy.
It was easy.
Very easy. But after he gets defeated, he just like flies away and then flies directly into the sun, which I understand the imagery and I understand like, you know, the connection there with Icarus flying into the sun. But like, I just didn't like the heat.
Oh, Icarus flying into the sun. I didn't even think about that.
I just told my best friend who I saw this movie with that exact same thing yesterday. Cause I was like, oh, I didn't like that Icarus died with him flying into the sun. Like I get the imagery or whatever. He was like, oh my gosh, Icarus flying into the sun. I was like, how did you not?
Oh my god! I was just like, oh, he just killing himself. Wow! Oh wow! I think I like that scene a little bit better now.
I like the imagery of it. It was all really cool, like him flying into the sun, and dying. But I did wish he wasn't like he didn't commit suicide. I wish he was still around. Even now, like I guess they could bring him back.
I guess now the question is going to become for me because of the fact that we know the Eternals usually get reborn. However, they're reborn. Oh, I guess that makes sense now because Arishem took Cersei, Kingo, and Fastos. Wherever he is, they'll probably go into the machine place where he builds all his Eternal copies, and they'll get a new Icarus and Ajax.
That's what I figured. Like they get a new one, but would Arishem want to give them a new one? Is that a request? Can they just do it?
I think they'll like steal it.
Okay, that'd be hot. I'd be interested. I mean, Cersei knows where it is, right? So,
or he might already have two that are up and ready, but he just uses them to fight against them, and they gotta like free them or something.
Oh, do you expect there to be something in Eternals 2 or 3 where they gotta fight like a bunch of clones?
Yes. However, I also anticipate some type of maybe Eternals war.
Oh, honestly, I'm into all of this that we just talked about. I think the Eternals should just it's kind of hot. I think that they should stay in their own like corner. I don't really need them to like cross over into the other movies and stuff. I think they've got more than enough going on that they could just kind of stay.
Yeah, so you wouldn't want to see any of these join the future Avengers team?
I mean, yes, like Cersei and whoever wants to like join the Avengers team for an Avengers movie, yes. But I don't need them to like appear with the Guardians or like pop up with the Avengers in their movies or something. Like if it's the big crossover movie, Avengers Endgame Part 3 or whatever the hell they gonna call that, like sure. but I don't need them like starring in all this stuff. I don't or their storylines like crossing over. They can just kind of stay in their own corner.
Okay, that's understandable. I can agree with that. Very much so. Oh my gosh, and Druig, who also felt a little weak for a telepath, but
It was also like they wouldn't go there with like calling it telepathy. It was like, oh, he can just like control these people's minds, but like he wasn't like reading minds, like doing all this other stuff.
Just possessing them.
Yeah.
It was hot though. I was into it, and him and Makari's energy was great.
They were cute together. I like their like flirtations and stuff like that. That was hot. I did like that they didn't make them a couple because I feel like that would have been bad for Makari because then she's just around to be the girlfriend. Yeah. I like that.
That was great. But now skipping ahead, we get to the end of the movie. We're at our first post-credit scene. We have Aramesh has taken Cersei, Kingo, and Fastos away. However, Makari, Thena, and Druig, are on their ship, and they've just realized, okay, we can no longer find them. Thena kind of assesses that Arishem took them, and then somebody pops up on their ship. We get Pip the Troll, who I wonder if they're going to tie him into the Asgardian stuff as well, because there's a Pip in Asgard.
Is it the same Pip? Because
I don't know.
This Pip, when he first appeared, I was like, is that Pip? That was the first thing I thought, because like, I know Pip from X Factor, from the pad run of X Factor. He was in that a bunch, and
he did pop up there.
And he's just like a random character to me, so I never thought that I'd ever see him in like a live action.
that was crazy. When I saw it, because that was me, I was like, oh, it's Pip. I was like, oh, but then nonetheless, we get the newest Eternal who pops up, Mr. Eros, aka Star Fox, played by none other than, spoiler alert, Harry Styles. And I'm gonna let you know something. I did not move, and I thought, wow, this is
nothing moved.
Nothing moved. And this is no shade to Harry Styles. I've personally never seen too many. I haven't seen a lot of movies that he's in. I actually don't think I've seen any movie that he's in, so I can't attest to his acting skill. I feel like Harry Styles is just one of those people, though. When he's in something, the movie becomes more about Harry Styles than it is character, which can be a little.
And like you said, it's no knock on him. You know, I like the little Watermelon Sugar song. It's cute, but like I. Sugar, watermelon sugar. It's cute. But like him as an actor, when he walked up, I was like, oh, this is Harry Styles. I'm not getting Star Fox from this. Like,
and if anybody has ever read a She-Hulk run, you should probably know the history of Star Fox, and he's not really the easiest character to kind of digest in a sense. He's often been accused of forcing characters, mainly women, to like be in relationships with him, have sex with him. He's been put on trial for it. It was the thing with him and She-Hulk when they dated. So I've read a lot of his characters, and he could be a little problematic. So it's going to be kind of interesting to see how they interpret him in the MCU.
I think they're going to make him like fluid, like sexually fluid. I think that like instead of it being where he like makes women and females fall in love, like fall for him, and he's like basically controlling them, I think they're gonna be like, oh, it's just anybody in the room, like everybody just falls for him.
Please do not have him go to the MCU Disney Plus She-Hulk show.
Ooh, that's unfortunate. I don't want that for you, because when I saw him, I was like, oh, MCU's starting to click down again. You know, I have to stop saying that. I feel like I'm constantly saying the MCU was clicking down.
I will say, although I didn't really necessarily care about Harry Styles and Star Fox, I did like the implication that there are, and they had already said it, but I like the implication that there are more Eternals out there, and it'll be interesting to see them kind of pop up and who else comes around the world.
And we've been reading this Eternals run, and we've seen that, I think there was in that annual where they've talked about Eternals that have like left like the Eternals like camp, like they've just gone off and done their own thing. So it'll be interesting if we get any of those other characters around.
Yes. And so then fast forwarding ahead, because there is a second after credit scene. So, it's still kind of shocking to me when I see people leave to the first after credit scene. Right? How long have we been doing this now?
It's been about 20 years.
How long have we been? What's going on? Where are y'all going? But nonetheless, we get to the second after credit scene. We have Mr. Dane Whitman. He has what looks to be the Ebony Blade, and it's got this imprint on it. It says "Death by Sword" or something like that.
Yes.
Something about dying. And we
Hmm.
hear all these kind of like whisper spirits, and he's figuring out he's got to grab it because again, Cersei's been kidnapped. He was there. He's like, I got to get my girl back. And right before he grabs it, we hear a voice. Do you know who that voice was?
Yes. I was
Let me
like, you
tell
just
you.
keep winning. Why is it that like when it's time to get the cosmic shit, everything is shaky? but
Let me
when
tell
it's
you.
time for that stuff, you like it is.
I
It's planted firm.
instantly, as soon as I heard you sure you know what to do with that, I was like, oh wow, I know who that voice is. Mr. Mahershala
Uh-huh.
Ali, aka Blade, is coming. Okay? And
Hmm.
so the boy who was sitting next to me, I had to tell that to him because he was very confused. And so I was like, with the voice, I said, you know who the voice was? He said, no. I said, it was Mahershala. He said, Ali? I said, yes. He's cast. I said, yes. He's been cast as Blade. And he goes, what are they building to in this universe? I just don't understand anymore. And I was just like, okay. I was like, I'm not talking to
That's
you people anymore.
I feel like a lot of like the general public right now is confused in this like phase 4 era because it's not building towards a Thanos where something's coming. They're literally just building the universe now. Like they're not building
It's just
towards
like
anything. They're just building the universe. Yeah.
we just here. The people they got lives. The people got lives, and they got their own rogues galleries. That everybody doesn't need to fight one person.
Hmm.
So it's like, hey, that's where we at. But I screamed a little bit internally, so I'm very
Yeah.
excited now for
I
that.
mean,
And
okay, so I didn't instantly know who it was. My first thought was I thought it was Nick Fury, but then my friend was like, if it was Nick Fury, they would have shown his face. Like,
yeah,
you're not gonna have like,
we've seen Nick before.
right, right.
Yeah.
You
No, that was
winning.
definitely that was Blade. So now, but now
Is
I'm
he
worried. I'm not
is
worried. I
Blade
mean,
tied to Black Knight?
not really, but they're both quote unquote Midnight Suns.
Oh. Oh.
Yeah. Well, Black Knight isn't really a Midnight Sun. However, he kind of plays around with the characters who are Midnight Suns, and he also fits into that world a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if somewhere down the line we do have a new Midnight Suns book, and he is a part of it.
I was gonna ask, do you think they're gonna do a Midnight Suns
Oh,
like
I would love that.
movie? Because
I
with
would
Moon Knight
love
coming, right? Don't aren't they
Moon
practically are
Knight's
building it right
coming.
there?
We got Blade. We now have Black Knight in the mix. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a Elsa Bloodstone somewhere.
She's coming, sure.
Werewolf by Night, I believe, was cast or
Oh,
rumored
he
to
was
be
just
on.
cast, yeah.
Yeah, so they're coming, and I cannot
Hmm.
wait. I love that
They
franchise, and
really
now I'm
built
hoping.
up the supernatural corner too. Like I feel like it's not on the main like forefront right now, but in the back burner they're really building up that supernatural corner
Mhm.
along with the magic stuff too.
Wanda, Doctor Strange in the multiverse, and it's all coming together. My corner is set.
Child,
Both of
I
my
don't know what
corners, the Magic corner and the Street corner, are set.
the superhero corner is fine. We got Infinity War and all them other stuff. It's when they start to get a little cosmic that
What you
things will
got? You
start to
got
click down.
Guardians.
Ew. Guardians 1 and 2.
Three is coming. I guess you could claim Thor a little bit.
I guess we can kind of claim Thor. Yeah, that was a good
That
one.
I mean, Ragnarok was good.
That's what I mean. I wasn't talking about the other one. Definitely was talking
um,
about the other one.
though I am excited for Love and Thunder, obviously.
Yeah, that's gonna be
Jane.
dope. I think they finished
But
wrapping filming that too.
I saw I've been seeing all these images of the quote unquote promotional material, but I don't know
Hmm.
how it is because I haven't. I'm one of those people. I don't really believe anything until I hear it from Marvel themselves, even if it is
Right.
possibly true or real. Is I would need to hear it from the horse's mouth because they like to change things at the last minute, also. So
Hmm.
we'll see.
I mean, I've heard some rumors out here in LA. I've talked to some people. I've got some friends that work at certain places that have let me know some things, and I think that like Thor: Love and Thunder is gonna be interesting because I've heard that they are going to continue with the like cancer storyline with Jane. I don't know if they're gonna keep Jane because honestly, I don't think it has anything to do with Jane. I think it's Natalie Portman probably ain't gonna stay around. you know.
She said, "Y'all getting one and done."
Right. She read the story and she's like, "Oh, she dies at the end. Great. Let's do that.
She
Let's
like
do that."
she gives the hammer back.
Yeah. So I feel like Thor: Love and Thunder is going to be dope. I'm excited for a few more things they have coming up. Did you feel as though Eternals gave us any inclination that mutants at all were coming? Were there any parts in this movie that you felt that way? For me, there was a part where Ajak was giving a speech while they were in Babylon. I think she was
Mhm.
actually talking to Airship, and she was like, this planet and like these people can produce such wonders, and like they have like this thing in them that they're going to be something different, and like they
Mhm.
could be something different. And I recall them also saying something about that the Eternals could maybe mate and have kids with other things. Or did they say they couldn't? I don't remember. I think that they said that they could, but I don't think that they mentioned anything about their children or something having like superpowers or something.
So I will say during Ajax's speech, I kind of got that same vibe. I feel you on that a little bit. However, other than that, no, I didn't see any implication of the mutants, and guarantee I was looking.
Oh yeah, same. I was definitely looking. It seemed very much like we will we're gonna get there, and this is definitely going to like give you a little taste of what could possibly come with the mutants, or at least wake people up to the idea of just superpowered beings
Yeah.
like being around. I will say that this movie was definitely affected by the pandemic. You could tell that this was supposed to come out. I think that the Eternals were supposed to be there during the snap. I think that that was like the original plan. Like
Mm,
during the snap that they were there, and like all this stuff was
happening.
say, oh, this is you know,
Mm,
this is
I feel it.
what do you think?
Yeah. I feel so. I heard someone saying too that they felt like there was a little bit of a disconnect between the movie that Chloe was trying to make and the movie that the MCU was trying to put
Hmm.
out. And I feel like that could be a little bit of it as well. But
I
that
think
could
that's
also
where
be
all the bad reviews came from, honestly. Like, or why people may not be taking like latching on to this movie the way that they have to others, because
mm,
half of it feels like this Chloe Zhao indie movie, a lot of sunrises and shots behind hands
mhm.
so you could see silhouettes and stuff. A lot of far out shots and these really pretty stuff. And but then you also get the MCU stuff on it, so it feels a little disjointed.
Yeah.
Um, especially with some of her action scenes. You could tell that Chloe Zhao doesn't do that, because I personally prefer like when there's a shaky camera and you're really following the action and you like are in it,
Yeah.
versus like a steady cam where you're really focusing on everything being pretty. Like you want this to look like beautiful.
Yeah.
So you have the steady cam and you are like making sure you're taking in all the shots like steady.
Yeah.
But that's just
No.
her style. So like that makes sense for her, but I don't know if it really fit for
The movie.
a superhero movie. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice. I thought the movie itself was very cool. It did a lot of great world building. There was a lot of emotion behind the Eternals. Again, I did feel as though there was a lot of crying. I guess you could kind of say that over time they just felt a little bit more human and they lost some of that disconnect. But at the same time, I also didn't like how all of them couldn't fight. And I understand that they were supposed to be like half with the fighters and half with the thinkers. But baby, you've been alive for 7,000 years. You ain't learned how to throw one punch?
And okay, let's talk about that, because you're talking about half were the fighters and half were the thinkers. That don't mean shit. Y'all can't practice. Why you don't know how to why you don't know how to do more shit with your powers?
Like something. Because again, if you are literally sent to this planet to fight deviants, you think you know how to fight.
And it's been 7,000 years. What the hell you been doing? Go
Sprite,
go practice.
annoying ass. Yeah.
Overall though, what would you rate this movie, and what would you recommend it? Well, like, would you recommend it?
I would rate it a 3 out of 5. I think it was
Yeah.
fine. I think it. Don't say it like that's a bad thing. I would rate it 3 out of 5. I think It did feel a little just disjointed at times, but I do feel as though there was a lot of great world building inside. There were a lot of really good character moments throughout. I felt as though some of the tension between the Eternals felt very genuine. The love between some of them felt very genuine. Again, like Makari and Druid scenes knocked out of the park. Gilgamesh and Athena was very sweet. I didn't really buy it from Cersei and Icarus, but you could also kind of say they have been separated for so long, so who knows?
Mm-hmm.
But I think for me, I would not go and see this again. I would watch some clips again, like some action scenes every now and again. Like when they were the fight scenes, I would definitely watch those again if they were posted online. I wouldn't go see the movie as a whole again, but I would still recommend it to other people because I think it's something that everyone should get a chance to experience. You know, I'm very big on see it for yourself, form your own opinion, and I think as an MCU, like I said, it's setting up a lot of stuff for the future. So I feel like with things that are going to happen, you're going to want to see Eternals. You might end up like that crew that would sit next to me and be very confused and feel like you have to go and watch it again, but you should at least have that opportunity.
I mean, I pretty much agree with most of what you said. I also would give it like a 3 out of 5. I would also recommend it to people just to get their own experiences with it. I will say that like overall, it had a lot to tackle as far as being a completely new property, one that nobody even knows. So there's a lot that they had to really do with it to kind of make it like a complete film. But I will say that like there were some parts that didn't work for me, some parts that did work for me, and it was not nearly as bad as the critics are trying to say. No, not at all. It's definitely not something like. It was a fine movie, right? My thing with these superhero movies are the way that I grade them is like, was it how comic book accurate was it? Because that is important to me. It doesn't have to be straight from the page, but like, did you get the spirit of the event or whatever this is based off of? Like, did you get the spirit of it? And was I entertained? You know, overall, like, was I entertained? And like, was it like a solidly done movie? And I was entertained for the most part, you know, and this was solid done. Yeah, so.
I was definitely entertained. I definitely laughed at some of the jokes.
Yeah.
I'm definitely interested to see what happens with them next and where they go and where we go from here and what happens with the Eternals. I'm ready. I still don't know if I'm an Eternals fan yet.
I do like the comic, but I think that's just because the comic just is well done. You know what I mean?
But we'll see.
It's giving Hellions.
Okay.
You know, but again, like you said, we'll see.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. So that brings us to the end of the show. Please let us know what you guys think of the Eternals, and if you've seen it, you know, tweet us your reactions, your spoiler take us, and all that stuff. Make sure you check.
Favorite Eternals are.
Yes. And you know, let me know also if y'all think Galactus is really going to come or if he's going to be replaced by a Celestial. Because that's what I think is going to happen.
Really? I just don't see that happening.
It was just the way that they said, like, oh, we're going to come back and judge this place. I was like, ain't that basically what Galactus do? You can't keep doing the same thing.
But does Galactus really judge things or does he just destroy it?
He just destroys it. But then, like on the planet has to stop him. So I assume the Celestial will be like, oh, this planet ain't worthy. I'm going to just kill you. And then we get Sue to come out and take out the Celestial because it's what my girl does.
Is that what she can do? Mm-hmm. And so now this also, well, I mean, I guess the Celestials are supposed to be these overpowered beings anyway, but it kind of gets to the point where it's like, why y'all not doing nothing? You know what I want to see? We haven't seen The Watcher yet, have we?
That is a good, not outside of like What If? No. Oh wait, yes we did. We did. In this is kind of sad to think about. It was Stan Lee's like final cameo, I think was. Mm-hmm. Do you remember? And I forget which movie it was now. There was a scene where it was Guardians. I think it was Guardians 2, where he was like there was a ship or something that flew by, and he was talking with the Watchers, like on some ship or something. Do you kind of remember that?
No.
And there was a rumor. There was a rumor because Stan had his cameo with those other Watchers that like made Stan a Watcher. Like that's why he was able to make all those cameos in the movie because he was a Watcher.
Got it. That's a cute reference. I don't remember that because I don't remember too much of Guardians 2, and I don't think I'm actually going to go back and look for it. But
you shouldn't.
I like to
You
watch her
should.
again. It's basically where I was going with that whole thing.
We'll definitely get some more watches in there. All right, y'all. Make sure you check us out on wherever you catch your podcast at. Please rate and subscribe us. You can find us on most social media platforms at Another Relaunch and on YouTube at Another Relaunch TV if you want to watch. You can find me on most social media platforms as Uncanny LZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
You guys know you can find me on Twitter, Instagram at Keenan Lance. There's an underscore at the end.